Week's main news. Protest action held against imprisoned journalists. Adnan Hajizade's request to participate in next hearing fulfilled. Enullah Fethullah's hearing postponed again. Azadlık editor-in-chief's conviction not removed. Penitentiary Service of Justice resued. Flood sparked problems discussed in countrywide forum.
On the 17th of September, a youth group calling themselves Refugees staged a protest in front of the Baku Appeals Court where Enullah Fethullah's appeal hearing was being conducted. They held posters with slogans like "Lashnak spy Enullah Fethullayev insulted the spirits of martyrs" and "Enullah Fethullayev should be deprived of Azerbaijan citizenship." The protesters accused Fethullayev of slandering the Khojaly tragedy. "We are against the release of Fethullayev," a protester said. "Enullah is Armenian, he is carrying Armenian blood. He must be deprived of Azerbaijani citizenship." Police didn't interfere with the action. The protest is suspected of being a setup by the government. The journalist appealed against the 6 July decision of Garadag District Court of his 2.5 years imprisonment under the accusation of storing drugs and demanded his immediate release. In 2007, Fethullayev was sentenced to 8.5 years in jail for threatening terror and other accusations. However, the European Court on Human Rights issued a declaration of his innocence and immediate release. The Azerbaijan government has been refusing to execute this decision. Armenians have killed our national heroes, but Enullah says it's false. Do you have any documents? Do you appeal to the government to deprive him of Azerbaijan citizenship? Or this is just a slogan? This is just a slogan. Do you have a phone number to contact? Yes. Give please. Who will we contact with? It's Khojaly Executive Administration. Where is this situated? If Armenians are so merciful, why don't they free any of Azerbaijani captives? We watched about 10 killed bodies every day that killed people of Khojaly. They are not Khojaly residents, this is a setup.
Today, 17th of September, in the Baku Appeals Court, under the chairmanship of Judge Sabikhan Mirzaev, imprisoned blogger Adnan Hajizadeh's appeal for his early release against the decision issued by Garadag District Court on 26th of July was heard. The judge said that Hajizadeh wrote a statement requesting to participate in the hearing. The state plaintiff did not object to Adnan Hajizadeh's participation in the court hearing. Hajizadeh's lawyer Isakhan Ashurov said that it is necessary to bring Hajizadeh to court. He requested that the judge approve the temporary transfer of him to the Baku Investigative Prison. The judge announced a decision to ensure Hajizadeh's participation in the hearing and to temporarily transfer him to Baku Investigative Prison. The hearing was scheduled for the 1st of October at 3 p.m. The appeal of blogger Adnan Hajizadeh regarding his early release was not granted in the Garadag District Court under the chairmanship of Judge Rufan Mursalov. Bloggers Amin Milli and Adnan Hajizadeh were arrested after an incident took place in a Lebanese restaurant on 8th of July 2010. Although they were beaten, they were sentenced to 2.5 years in prison and 2 years in prison respectively, under charges of hooliganism and inflicting intentional, minor bodily harm.
The preliminary hearing on Enullah Fethullahev's appeal was conducted in the Court of Appeals on 17 September 2010. The hearing was presided over by Judge Mirpasha Huseinov. Enullah Fethullayev told the judge that he was not familiar with 3 volumes of protocols of Garadag District Court. He gave me additional time to become familiar with the documents. However, not all of the protocols were submitted to me. I spoke about Ilmar Huseinov in the first instance court. However, this testimony was distorted by the judge. I want to be familiar with that part. Therefore, I'm requesting that you grant time to me to do so, said Enullah Fethullayev. The judge fulfilled the motion and scheduled the next hearing for September 24th at 11 a.m. In addition, Enula Fetulayev asked the judge the reasons for not granting permission to the representatives on 10 international organizations that visited Baku to meet him. The judge said that the representatives were not rejected by the court, and these issues will be discussed during the next hearing. The journalist appealed against the July 6th decision by the Garadak District Court on 2 years 5 months of imprisonment under the accusation of storing drugs and is demanding immediate release. In 2007, Enula Fetulayev was sentenced to 8 years 5 months in jail for threatening terror and other accusations. However, the European Court on Human Rights issued a decision on his being innocent and immediate release. The Azerbaijani government thus far refused to execute this decision.
Court hearing on the petition filed by the editor-in-chief of Azad League Daily, Ganimat Zahid, was summed up in Yasamal District Court on September 16th. The hearing was presided over by Judge Khagani Tagiev. The judge rejected the petition. After the hearing, the editor-in-chief told Objective TV that he will appeal the decision. Zahid filed a petition for the early removal of his conviction. Zahid was convicted under Articles 127.2.3, hooliganism with intentional infliction of minor bodily harm, and 221, hooliganism, of the Criminal Code, and was sentenced to prison for 4 years. On the 17th of March, he was pardoned under a decree signed by Azerbaijan's Republic President Ilham Aliyev. Azad League newspaper has been established since 1989 and operates as a daily newspaper. On the 16th of September, in the press center of the Institute for Reporters' Freedom and Safety, the initiative group from the Rights of Prisoners for Early Release conducted a press conference. Group coordinator Rasul Jafarov said that they had begun the implementation of a project relating to prisoners' rights under early release, which cost $5,000 USD. The first stage of the project involved the education of prisoners. The initiative group appealed to the Penitentiary Service of the Justice Ministry to hold trainings for the prisoners. However, their appeal was rejected. The ministry did not respond to the group's inquiry of the number of early released prisoners. The Penitentiary Service said that the ministry has held trainings for the prisoners. Also, a public committee consisting of public representatives contacted the prisoners while they were imprisoned, so the group was not allowed to contact the prisoners. Prompted by this response from the Penitentiary Service, the group requested assistance from the public committee. As for the inquiry of the number of early released prisoners, the Penitentiary Service refused to respond, claiming the information was a state secret. The group representatives declared both cases to be violations of the right to obtain information. They filed a lawsuit at the Yasamal District Court on the grounds of the rejection to respond to the inquiry. However, the group has declared that it is still operating, and a hotline will be available for prisoners' relatives. The group will conduct a training for relatives of prisoners who are interested in freeing those in prison. With the relative support, the group can take the case to the European Court of Human Rights. In addition, if the relatives launch court proceedings, the lawyers of the group will provide them with legal assistance. The project Social Initiatives to Ensure the Rights of Prisoners for Early Release, financed by International Bridges to Justice, is also carrying out these activities. The Kur Civil Society Organization, with the financial support from the Open Society Institute Assistance Foundation, held a countrywide forum on the problems sparked by Kur floods, current situation and solutions, in the Landmark Business Center on September 15th. State agencies, representatives from the civil society, and representatives from the affected villages attended the forum. Tehran Information Agency Director Mehman Aliyev said that in the aftermath of the floods, beginning in May 2010, over 20,000 houses and 110,000 hectares of farming lands and pastures had been engulfed in water. As a result, people, households, educational and financial institutions, and infrastructure suffered significant damage. The floods were a result of ineffective management, he said. Mehman Aliyev also said that the preliminary investigations by the civil society institutions revealed that the problem stemmed from the lack of cleaning of mud from the Kur and Araz rivers, lack of dam building measures, lack of reparations to the water reservoirs not currently being used, and inefficient use of recovery funds. Economic analyses show that about 1 billion manat was spent from 2005 to 2010 for the building and management of water industry systems, but no work has been done, he said. 300 million manat was allotted from the state budget for recovery from flood damages by parliamentary decision. The Kur Civil Society Organization conducted monitoring in 2,200 households in the flood zone and made a separate report for each household. The police fired the monitoring group from the flood zone on August 25th and didn't allow the monitoring to continue, said Kur Civil Society Organization Coordinator Oktay Gulialev. Communication and Information Technologies Ministry Representative Novruz Mamadov told the forum that compensation funds were sent to 5,403 people by Emergency Situations Ministry via post office. 99% of these compensations were delivered to the address of destination. Compensation could not be delivered to 266 people. 22 of them died. There were mistakes in names or surnames of 126. 77 addresses were not clear, and 9 refused the compensation. Melioration and Water Industry Joint Stock Company Representative Abdurrah Hajiev spoke about the recent dam building works. He said that 3 million manat had been allocated for dam building and fundamental repair works. Dam building measures have not taken place since 1988. Only in recent years have funds been allocated for this. With internal funds from the company, we carried out dam repairs for 32 kilometers in Sabirabad and 68 kilometers in Satli, he said. Representatives of the local community who attended the event said the situation in the disaster zone, as well as the social conditions of the people, were miserable. They noted that there were law violations in the distribution of the compensation, and in some cases, houses were constructed for those whose houses were not damaged. The villagers also revealed the people's need for seed and agricultural equipment and emphasized that the ecological situation was awful.